I'm Figment. I know I haven't posted a video in a while, at least a few weeks. I've been pretty busy with all this Christmas and holidays and New Year's, so I haven't had really much time at the office. But with all that train hopping and whatnot, the only time I've really gotten in was using Thor, the iOS version of Thor. And all that time I spent playing around with the Thor, I started to kind of experiment and ask myself, could the Thor by itself create like a chiptune type of timbre with no insert effects, no other devices processing the audio, just the Thor's. I don't really want to call them insert effects, but the Thor has a built-in delay and a built-in chorus. Is that really an insert effect? I don't think so, but it's like a built-in insert effect. Anyway, just trying to see if the Thor by itself, but just by itself, could create a chiptune type timbre. And I know that's kind of, there are other ways, easier ways to create chiptune, but for me, it was more or less the challenge of it. The challenge of just seeing, is it even possible? And the answer is kind of yes, kind of no. But I'll explain that later. Before we really dive into this, I just want to say that this tutorial is kind of a composite of two separate tutorials. If you've seen my the chiptune template I made, it's one of the earliest videos I made, and if you've seen the Thor video I did about the shaper, this tutorial is kind of a composite of both of those tutorials together. I'm going to kind of skip over some stuff or gloss through some stuff, but if you really want to get everything out of this video, I would go back and rewatch that chiptune template video and that Thor shaper video. And this video, they just really complement this video a lot. So I'm going to play this demo file I made real fast just to demonstrate the timbres I'm going to talk to you about, or the ideas I'm going to talk to you about. So I'm sure you guys get the idea. I just want to show you real fast. All the sounds here are all made with Thors. So that those arped chords are made with a Thor. Now I know you see a mouse drum in there, but I'll explain that right now. That mouse drum is just being used for its mod A, mod B. There's no sound whatsoever, no audio output coming out of this. The only sound generating devices would be a Thor. So the same thing for the melody. So Thor, using this for its mod A, mod B. I lose a lot of LFOs, so I just keep a lot of them in there. Hi-hat, so Thor. So on and so forth. Take my word for it. They are all Thors. Even this bass is a Thor. And so on and so forth. Okay. So I imposed a lot of the same limitations that I had on that chiptune template I was talking about, or that I showed you guys in that original video. Pretty much the exact same ones as far as the envelope and velocity settings. Actually, let's crank that right there. That should have been there. And the filter ceiling and so on and so forth. The main difference, though, or the main limitations, why I kind of said there's like, can it create chiptune-esque sounds? Yes, kind of no. Is that the problem with using just a Thor and no other insert effects? Is that really chiptune sounds, kind of, or really early digital kind of synth sounds, had this kind of reduced bit resolution, a lower sample rate, and it creates a type of timbre with the sound that is unique to those type of synths and chiptune music. The thing about the Thor is although it's a very advanced synth and really powerful and has an array of oscillators, an array of filters, and this huge mod matrix, there really isn't a way necessarily to reduce the sample rate or to lower the resolution in and of itself in the Thor. The subtractor has that low bandwidth button that I like to play with, but Thor doesn't have anything like that. So there's really not going to be a way to, it's this, there's not going to be a way to lower the resolution or to lower the sample rate, but you can kind of play around with the Thor to kind of mimic some timbral changes that can kind of bring it in that realm, close to it, mimic it, if you will. So the backbone of this idea is going to be the shaper. The shaper is the closest thing to any type of distortion unit inside of the Thor. Unfortunately, none of these settings, like I said, are going to lower the resolution or the sample rate. So anyway, I just took a very simple waveform, a square wave. You could have taken a triangle wave because most old analog synths use really simple waveforms, saw, squares, triangle, etc. Ran that through a low pass ladder and then into the shaper. The shaper, like I said, being really the backbone of the sound. Now, not a lot of settings I found actually kind of duplicated a chiptune like timbre. The one I found that worked best for me was the wrap feature. Peak kind of has some interesting qualities, and so does saturate. But those are the only three. Really, wrap was the one I found to be pretty much in that order: wrap, peak, and then saturate. So it's got this shaper set to wrap, the drive all the way up, and it just runs out. Fairly simple. Now, I do have one of these mod A's, I think it's mod A, literally, modulating the drive, because I found that the drive, believe it or not, like the drive of the filter and the drive of the shaper are like linked for some unknown reason. Like you can leave the settings on the shaper alone, like the turn wheel and the drive knob, and just by moving the drive on the filter, it won't just change the volume of the drive of the filter, not to be redundant, but it'll also literally change the effect of what the shaper is doing depending on the drive. So when I figured that out, I kind of modulated it a little bit at a certain rate to get this kind of, I can't even describe the effect, but I kept trying to listen to real chiptune patches and sounds, and modulating the drive really just helped kind of compensate for this. So after I ran all this through and they came out of the master out, I sent the master out into the audio ends of this extra Thor. This Thor has nothing in it, no extra oscillators, no filters. And the next setting I ran on the shaper was saturate. So it's everything I just said here with wrap, then over all being pumped through the saturate setting. And I modulated the drive on the shaper again just to create more of a chiptune-esque sound. The alternate way you could use a Thor by itself. I know I have this Thor here, but this Thor is actually muted, Thor 6. And what I did instead was I stacked up, I took an opposite approach, so using one Thor, I used a triangle wave. And I took another triangle wave and used this, put some frequency modulation on it. And to kind of create some interesting timbral changes, I ran that first oscillator into a formant filter, and then I ran that formant filter, filter 2, into filter 1's audio input, so that it would hit the shaper. So it's going into filter 2 into filter 1, and then from filter 1 into the shaper. So the shaper is affecting both of these filters, or what's coming out of them, which is what I wanted, and then it comes out of the amp. A little bit of modulation from an LFO, a little bit of modulation from a mod envelope, for the same reasons why I was modding these, the drive here and the shaper drive there. So in a nutshell, can chiptune sounds be made with solely a Thor by itself? Kinda yes, kinda no. Traditional actual low resolution stuff, no, but it can get into the ballpark of that, where you could kind of play around with it. If anything, it's kind of a new use for the shaper I never thought of, so that's always a plus. It's pretty difficult, I would say, to create chiptune sounds just using a Thor with no extra insert effects. If I could use a Scream 4 or any type of rack extension, then with this setup it'd be a breeze, no big deal. But even so, it's still kind of impressive and still kind of cool. We'll challenge the idea and kind of get into just using a Thor by itself and seeing just how far this machine will stretch. Anyway, I hope that was insightful and gave you some ideas and got your brain going. Either way, just get out there and experiment with a Thor, have some fun, play around, make some music. Enjoy the new year, and I'll talk to you guys later.